Hey, this is Mark A. Altman.
And this is Darren Doctorman.
And this is Ashley Miller,
And we are the Inglorious.
Treksperts.
And tonight, it's the first of our Treks Not Taken as we unveil the unmade Star Trek episodes you never saw. So this is exciting. This was a series we did at Star Trek Las Vegas where we under the Treks Not Taken moniker. This is something we've done on the podcast in the past. We explored all these unmade Star Trek projects. But the first one, the one that kicked us off on Thursday night, was one devoted to the unmade episodes of the original series. And it was fascinating. We had David Tallada, author of the Star Trek Lost Scenes. We had the brothers Tipton. And, of course, the Treksperts on hand, as well as Ben Robinson, who's a writer of a number of Star Trek books. He now works with Master Replicas after a very successful career working over at Eagle Moss, doing their little ships and magazines and things like that.
It's between the brothers, Kay. I had nothing to
It's between the brothers.
Brothers.
Indeed. But this was a really, I think we were worried this become a too scholarly, this panel, but quite the contrary.
I don't really think we were worried it was going to be too scholarly. I think we were worried that we would run out of information, but we didn't.
No, we didn't, because we had one episode that kept on giving. It was the gift that kept on giving. And, of course, we brought out a ringer. Okay,
Yeah.
I won't even mention it, but we'll talk about our ringer that we brought in after the show.
Right.
But before we do that, let's take care of a little housekeeping here at the show. Coming up, we have nothing to do with this, but we heartily endorse it. Coming up in September is the Space 1999 convention in Burbank.
50 years of 1999.
Both
I think
fans will be there.
now.
No, I mean, look,
ideas.
I'm one of them.
Uh-huh.
No, it's September 12th, 13th, and the 14th in Burbank. It's Los Angeles 1999, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Space 1999. And one of the organizers is Robert Wood, who was on the show, I think, last year or the year before. We were talking about his new Space 1999 book at the time, along with regular guest David Hirsch. And they were fascinating. That was a great show, and I think it's going to be a great convention.
I think we are not shy about our love of 1999.
Not at all.
And its adjacency to Star Trek, which we heartily approve of.
Can I tell you? Well, I will.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask permission. So yes, you can tell I have a little bit of a cold, right? So I've been sick, and so I'm sleeping during the day a lot, and so I couldn't fall asleep last night. So I could watch, through the magic of streaming. I'm downstairs in the living room. Everybody's sleeping. Not even a mouse could be heard. But I'm up, me and the cats. And I'm like,
Doing the cats.
what should I watch? And when you're sick, you just can't really, it's hard to figure out what you want to watch because it's like, I don't know, nothing feels like.
Your senses are askew.
Yeah, so I didn't want to start Alien Earth or anything like that. So you know what I turned on? The Testament of Arcadia. The Testament of Arcadia. The penultimate or final episode of the first season of Space 1999 on Pluto.
Well, it's better than the rules of Luton.
And I got to tell you, I got such a kick out of it. I probably haven't seen that episode maybe in 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. It's not great.
It's not great, but it has a certain quality to it that is fascinating.
We have said that on the show a lot, and Darren, you in particular, that there's something about the moodiness of Space 1999 that would have been the way that Voyager could have really benefited for being more like Space 1999. That's not an insult. That's just
not at all.
A little bit more weird and mysterious.
And a feeling of you're actually in danger. That was the thing about Space 1999, right? Like, it just felt like they were up against crap that they did not understand.
Yeah.
In a place they did not belong. And Voyager just kind of felt like it's Star Trek The Next Generation, but without a lot of phone calls to the Federation.
It's just a little misplaced.
Yeah,
it's interesting because Voyager has a sort of interesting MacGuffin. The fact that the Voyager has been thrown across the universe and now has to get home, and they're going to encounter all these weird creatures and things that no one's ever encountered because they're
Theoretically.
on the far side of the universe. Interesting, right? But the execution, not so great. Space 1999 has a ridiculous MacGuffin.
Right.
The idea that the Earth, the moon is being hurled through the galaxy and they're encountering all. But the actual execution is kind of interesting.
Well,
Uh-huh.
you can't argue with inertial mass. I mean,
No, you
who's
can't.
going to keep going?
But I mean, in this episode,
In
you
this
know,
episode,
the moon is like, it's not a stairway to heaven or what, it's the window to heaven.
Wind.
It sort of stops moving and there's a power drain, and so it's getting really cold. They have to, and it takes 30 hours on an Eagle to get to the planet that
Wow.
they, which is like interesting. Like you see people drinking coffee, like there's a sense of time, time is passing, and there's a ticking clock that if they can't figure out what's happening, that they're going to have to, everyone's going to die, or they're going to have to evacuate the moon. I love that Operation Exodus and go to this planet, but there's no life on this planet. And it turns out it's an Adam and Eve story, which is kind of like, okay, that's a sort of tropey sci-fi thing. But it's very weird, and the music is really weird in that episode too. And and it's always funny because in Space 1999, you always get these weird guest stars because they were getting a lot of money out of Italy, so you
Right.
get these weird Italian guest stars,
Right.
that just don't fit in
about
the show at all.
somebody.
It's like, I'm so happy to be here on the moon.
Hello, my name is
That's a man green and cheese,
Gary
which you can-
Stellari.
put on a pizza.
I am Captain Enzo. But so it
suppose
was
who?
funny because I'm thinking to myself, this guy sounds just like Emilio Largo. And I'm like, from Thunderball. So I looked,
And
I looked,
And sure enough,
and sure enough, the guy who dubbed him is the same guy who dubbed Largo in Thunderball.
You're a
I just
bun
thought
skirt.
this is how sick I was last night. It was making me.
Sickened me.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So anyway, I got I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to watch another one, which is always a testament of a show. Like, oh, maybe I can
it's a
watch one
testament
more.
of Arcadia.
Oh my God.
But I didn't. But anyway, this is not a Space 1999 episode. That's going to
But-
be next week.
Could
But
be
you
if we
can
wanted it to.
celebrate your fandom of Space 1999 by going to Burbank in September.
Yeah, you
That's
should.
right.
We have nothing to do with this convention. We won't be there. We're not going to.
Oh.
Well, maybe
Maybe
but
you
we
can
don't-
get
We don't
blown
have
on
to
September
schedule any
13th.
panels for it.
Yeah. But it's going to be great. And if you're a fan, you should check it out because this is going to be a celebration of like-minded individuals who love Space 99, talking about the show they love. And two, we can definitely attest to two of their great guests.
Yes.
Barbara Bain is going to be there. Nick Tate. We love them both.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. So they're going to be there. And there's a whole mess of other guests that they have. And I believe they're doing some kind of Star Trek thing on Sunday, but I don't know what that means because there's no schedule posted.
Well,
It
they're
just
doing
says-
that because it's Space 1999 adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like the mirror version of our
That's right.
convention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, while I was recovering from being sick from all my travels, I watched the rest of that Light and Magic season 2.
It's great.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
So
short.
good.
It's way too short. I want more.
It's too short. I want more life, fucker. Yeah, I know. It's true.
You want more light and magic, fucker?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Exactly. So, but what a great, and I, as Darren knows, not a big fan of the deep dives into visual effects because I feel like, okay, I've read it, I've seen it, I've done it. It's like, it bores me, Clytus.
but forget what you
this-
know or think you know.
Mhm. And our friend Bill George kept popping up, but they didn't
Yeah.
interview him, but he kept popping up in the stuff. But it's so sad when they close down Kerner at the end. I'm giving away the end.
Yeah.
It's like the end of an era. It's an elegy for this lost age of visual effects. And man, it's sad.
I was so lucky to have been able to visit there a couple of times and interview there once.
Oh, that's great.
It was
What was that like?
kind of cool, but kind of disappointing because I realized that since I'd been working in the industry for 10 years, they couldn't afford me. So it was sort of sad, but you know what? It's okay because I did okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And plus, you're friends with so many of those people and privy to so many of the stories. And And you know, the Frank Oz stuff with Yoda was fantastic.
Yeah.
Even the stuff on the prequels, which I can't stand, I found fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's so much history there that has happened because of the artists and that you have to look at that one group as really pioneers in the entire industry.
Yeah, and they're finally getting their due. I mean, because so many of us, I guess, you know, we were inspired by the making of Star Wars when it aired, you know, on
Sure.
TV. You know, they said, "Oh my God, wow, look at this! This is all this this whole thing, how you make this stuff, and like this sounds like something that we might want to do for a living." And
And it seemed so far away.
yeah, but the amount of detail and the sense of these people as people,
Yeah.
you know, Rob Coleman and all these. I really, I can't say enough good things about it. I'm not like a Cinefex junkie. You know, I'm not the guy who would like get Cinefex and like, oh, you pour through everything. It was like, I was interested, but I wasn't like a total nerd or geek
But
about
only
this
to a
stuff.
certain point.
But man, I love that Light and
From a
Magic
certain point of view.
documentary. You know, everybody bags on Disney. But I got to say, you know, there's a lot of things they've done right, and a lot of these specials that they've done, like the Light and Magic documentary, really great. This is the kind of stuff you would have seen as bonus features on a DVD or Blu-ray that nobody does anymore, and phenomenal.
But you know, it's sort of interesting. I think they made a mistake on Light and Magic because it does appeal to boys.
Yeah. I can't believe that. You see, that was their thing about, you know, Disney saying they're really looking for
Stories this
IP.
week saying they're looking for IP that will appeal to males.
Yeah, that was interesting. Well, no, but the important thing about that story was more they're looking for original material because for the last couple of years they've relied so much on IP and realized that there won't be any IP unless there's original material. So that's
making it
certainly
appeal to
encouraging.
boys. Yeah, but you know, we'll see.
Oh, I had such beautiful new toys and I broke them. I need more.
Yeah.
Speaking
You know
of
what? I'm
toys,
happy to take advantage of it.
you know what I got? You know what I got when we were away?
What'd you get?
I got from Exo 6 the Gorn. Let me tell you.
Nice.
That is a new. That. What? I'm not spoiler alert. What? I'm giving away anything?
No,
It
no, you're not giving away anything. I know all
It's a-
about how great the Gorn is.
It's an all-time high. It is just. I mean, they've outdone themselves with this. It is just perfect. It's perfect. That's why I'm so annoyed with all these people. They just want the fucking captains. Who cares? I mean, how many times the captains come out? I mean, yeah, I'm happy to have the captains, but
No, the only
it's
reason
like-
I'd want Captain Janeway is for her to battle the Gorn.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's these creatures that are so exciting. It's like the Gorn, you know. And I'd like
They
to
put
because
features in our boxes.
it's so great. And then you say, "Oh, why they should do another version of this captain or that captain?" It's like enough already. We you know, there's more characters in Star Trek than the captains.
Yeah,
It's like, no offense.
Let's see Chakotay go against the Telosians.
Yeah, and by the way, look, I know we're going to revisit with the Treksperts in training the Strange New Worlds. I watched an episode. I know you don't watch it, Darren.
I think
but
we should
watched,
change that name, Treksperts in Training. It doesn't.
I don't
Yeah.
know,
First of all, it's a
Treksperts
terrible
Junior?
acronym, and
Yeah,
secondly,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I don't. Anyway, our little
it implies
Strange
that
New
Strange New Worlds
Worlds
is Star Trek.
group of Star Trek New Worlds fans. But you know, I would just say that I watched an episode the other day that just really made me angry, like Hulk angry.
There's a cure for that.
Don't watch it.
It's
I
don't
feel
watch
like we have an obligation to watch it.
No, we don't. No,
Okay.
we have an obligation to watch Star
Watch what we like. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of documentary episodes. Like MASH did it really well. Babylon 5 did it well. Battlestar Galactica did phenomenally well because it actually advanced the plot of the show. Where you know has a big spoiler reveal at the end with you know Lucy Lawless. But man, Strange New Worlds did not get the memo on how you do a documentary episode.
Did they play the Battlestar Galactica theme at the end?
No, but that could have helped. Anyway, I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who love the show.
Yeah,
and
don't be negative.
That's why we're going to bring the unnamed Treksperts Brigade out to talk about their love for the show. So you all can all sit there and
The alternate
enjoy.
universe Treksperts.
Yeah, the mirror Treksperts. That's right.
They all have goatees.
I don't think Gab K and Zazie would really appreciate the goatee thing. So we'll figure something out. But yeah. So anyway, I don't want to say too much about this episode because I think it's such a joy that we should probably just let people listen to it.
Yeah, listen and discover.
Listen.
And then we'll come back after the episode with a few more thoughts about it. And there's more to tell, exactly. So stay tuned. We'll be back with unmade original series episodes, Trek's Not Taken, after these brief commercial announcements. Stay tuned.
Today we're talking about great, unproduced, and maybe some not so great, unproduced Star Trek scripts. And to do that, we've assembled a slugger's row of people, starting with, once again, joining us on the Trekspert stage, it's the writers of the IDW Mirror War and many other Star Trek comic books, as well as Star Trek historians, Scott and David Tipton. Would you guys rather be introduced separately? Do you hate being, because when I was promoting Free Enterprise, it used to always be Mark Altman and Rob Burnett. It's like, we're two separate people. Like, I don't like to be introduced like, Scott, maybe I should just bring you out first and then David. I don't know. And then we also have, we were lucky enough to have him join us last year. We did a great panel with the Akutas and Larry Nemechek and Ed Gross talking about chronicling the final frontier, all these great Star Trek books. He's responsible for so many of them. And of course, the great Eagle Moss line, and now with Master Replicas, it's Ben Robinson. And last but not least, the impetus for doing this panel, he is the author of a beautiful coffee table book about lost scenes from Star Trek. If you haven't seen it, it's really terrific. It's a great companion piece to the Roddenberry Vault. It's called Star Trek Lost Scenes, and the author is here from the East Coast. It's David Tellada. Okay. Well, this is good. You guys stayed. You could be at the food court. The lines are going to be crazy at 7. But you stayed, which we appreciate. David, can you set the stage for us? Tell us a little bit about, when we talk about Star Trek unproduced scripts, we're not talking about pitches. We're talking about literally, some of them were scripts, some of them were pitches. So tell us a little bit about some of these scripts and why they didn't make it to production.
Yeah, thanks. So basically, we're probably on the order of between 75 and 100 different ideas or concepts pitched. And as you said, they range all the way from just springboards, which are just a few sentences, a paragraph, all the way up to full-blown outlines, to draft after draft after draft of scripts. And so lots of stuff out there. And really, what the production office was looking for, they were looking for a lot of scripts. Because, they had, stories that needed to be told. They were doing this, like cranking these out weekly, that kind of thing. And essentially, they were looking for ideas, I guess, in this order, sort of. So first, they were looking for really good stories, all right? And the stories had to be, suitable for Star Trek, which meant that they had to be, the science had to be good, the characterizations had to be good, Spock had to be Spock, Kirk had to be Kirk, etc. They wanted to make sure that the stories were unique and hadn't been done to death, over and over again. And ultimately, if a story idea were to pass, that bar, the next one was budget. They had to be able to do the story on a budget, to get it done, and a lot of the stories were rejected because of that. And then finally, they wanted to make sure that whoever was pitching the story, the concept or whatever, was an okay writer. That wasn't a deal breaker per se, because if the story was really good, if the script was really good, but there was some problems in the writing, they could find someone else to write it. They would buy the story and then move on.
Well, guys, I want to ask Scott and David, because I know you were really excited about the first Batman versus Star Trek crossover. Of course, you wrote the Primate Directive, which was Planet of the Apes meets Star Trek. So we would have seen Louis the Lilac with the cast of Star Trek. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was looking at that one. There's a story called He what is
He
it?
He
walked
walked
He
among
walks
us.
among us. And Milton Berle was going to play maybe a Starfleet officer, maybe he was going to be sort of a flim-flam man, and he was going down to a planet and act like a god and sort of manipulate the people and make himself well off, and at the same time violate the Prime Directive. And if you look at the different versions of the story, it does sound very much like a Batman 66 kind of a story, I think.
Or Apocalypse Now.
Or Apocalypse Now. And also, I think, one of the problems with a story like that is that once you have Milton Berle in the story, it kind of throws you out of this being a Star Trek story.
It's just being a Milton Berle story.
And I guess the other thing to think about that is that at the time, Milton Berle was still huge.
Mr. Television.
He was Mr. Television. So having him on the show seemed like it was a great idea.
He was no Melvin Belli.
Well, maybe you should rephrase that he was huge.
Yes, well,
Actually,
yeah.
That was funny, Darren. Uncle Mel, what were you going to say, Scott?
Wait, just at the time, like we said, he was on Batman. I mean, he was on pretty much every show on television at the time. It's like even they must have come to Star Trek and said, we don't really want Milton Berle, but it's television, and that's the law. We have to have him.
There's a reason they called him Mr. Television. He was,
I'm curious, how many versions of the scripts were there? Do you know for that one?
So let's see here. There was an initial pitch letter that Spinrad made to Roddenberry, and then there was 2 outlines. Then Spinrad himself wrote 2 different drafts of the script. Then the studio took it at that point, and then they wrote a first draft based on his last draft. And then that went to a final draft. Then after the final draft, which people really didn't like, then they sent that off to John Meredith Lucas, who then tried to put together a different draft. So lots of different drafts of that.
Is it apocryphal or is it true that Norman Spinrad begged Gene Roddenberry not to produce it because he hated the rewrite so much?
Honestly, I have seen no evidence of that. Essentially, the story didn't change a lot from the initial pitch letter to the final product, with the exception of the John Meredith Lucas version. Essentially, Spinrad had this idea, as you just said, coming down, it was primitive planet, and Bane was his name, and he was going to, step in and be sort of like a god, and Bane, anyway, and B-A-Y-N-E. And he had this tag at the end that that Spinrad really wanted to do. He basically wanted Kirk to try to trick the Jugalis, this primitive people, into thinking that he was God, Kirk was, and he was calling Bane back up. And
But Kirk is God.
Yeah, Kirk is a god. He's one of the gods.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But for real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And he wanted to do that. He wanted to have Bane beamed up, being taken back up to heaven.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted. And he made every draft that way. But the problem was, it basically, and this is what Gene Kuhn said in a letter that he wrote to Spinrad. He basically said, look, in the first act, you've got Kirk basically saying, you got a problem here because you're acting like God and you're kind of messing up this planet. You really don't know what you're doing, so you need to get out of here. According to Gene Kuhn, he basically...
What does God need with a planet?
Or a transporter.
Yeah, and Gene Kuhn basically said to Spinrad, basically, look, Bane says, F off. And of course, Kuhn, this is family, deal, but so he didn't actually use F, pretty much. And he said, and basically, Bane says that to Kirk for 4 acts.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't work. And that was pretty much in all the drafts.
But it's Spinrad himself who said that he begged him not to make it, isn't it? After he saw the Gene Kuhn rewrite.
Yeah,
That's the rumor.
Well, no, he definitely said it. He said he said it.
He said he said it.
Whether he actually said it is another question.
So
Well-
do we know if the writing problems killed it, or did Milton Berle appearance kill it? What was the final straw, I guess?
No, I think it was...
Nobody ever liked it.
no one ever liked it internally, Darren.
There's a little bit more to the story. Several years ago, when we were still doing the New Voyages fan films, we were in contact with Norman Spinrad, and we were going to produce He Walks Among Us. And that is the only time that the studio interceded and said, please don't do this.
Oh, wow.
That's the only time they ever got in the way of that.
Did they say why?
They did not.
So interesting. By the way, we have a TV executive, Kevin Levy, here in the audience, used to work at UPN. He was there during the Enterprise days and, of course, at the CW. So since you're an experienced television executive, I want you to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on whether you would buy these pitches as we discuss these episodes. Okay, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Okay, so that's not going to happen. He Walked Among Us is dead. Dead. But, you know, I know one of the great disappointments, I think, of the third season, you know, alongside This Way to Eden, is the fact that the show had a 2-option pickup, and that NBC didn't exercise the rights to produce those last 2 episodes, one of which would have been directed by William Shatner. Darren, what can you tell us about?
I don't remember it. I don't remember the name of it.
He's
But
forgetting.
I'm sure you do.
Well, tell us about the Joy Machine, because the Joy Machine, to me, was a lot more promising than He Who Walked Among Us, and I would have loved to have seen Bill. In fact, when we talked to Bill about
That was a
Star Trek
nickname
5,
of his also as well.
The Joy Machine? Yes.
Remember when we talked to Bill about Star Trek 5 at GalaxyCon, one of the things we discussed about Star Trek 5 was, you know, we said you directed a lot of T.J. Hookers, but how would your career have changed had you gotten that opportunity to direct in 1969 versus 1982? And you know, he really mused on that, and he thinks he would have had a very different career. What do you what do you think about the Joy Machine, and why do you and how far did that get in development before it was?
So first, let me say that I have seen zero evidence that there was going to be 2 more episodes for Star Trek, in that third season. I would have thought that NBC knew well in advance when they were going to cancel the series, and let me just say that the last 2 episodes, what's out there in the fandom world that were supposedly going to be produced were going to be the Joy Machine and the Godhead. The Godhead was written by John Meredith Lucas. And honestly, I've read the scripts, I've read the final drafts, quote unquote. They weren't ready for prime time at all. The Joy Machine was an interesting idea, excuse me, and one that Bob Justman really liked. I mean, he loved the core idea. And he said, you know what, and this was when it was submitted, it was in the 2nd season, and he said, ultimately, if we produce this, we're going to have to find somebody else to write it. Because, there were some real issues with the characterization of the way in which it was put together. But basically, it was Star Trek The Next Generation's The Game.
Without the really bad vector graphics and
Robin
no
Leffler,
Ashley Judd.
Hallowed be her name.
Exactly, and that's pretty much how it was going to unfold, except for the fact that there was a whole bunch of implausible things that he proposed. That basically, Kirk was going to go down and he was going to visit one of his ex-flames on a planet, and there was also somebody on the planet happened to be his really good friend, and so they beamed down to the planet and they found that a lot of the inhabitants of the planet, the scientists and the doctors, they were out, shoveling cement, and they were making bricks and stuff like that. And they were doing those activities so they could get credit. And when they got a certain number of credits, then basically they could get plugged into a Joy Machine, which was, basically like a bed, and they would shine lights on you, and there was some apparatus that would mess up with your brain waves, and it would give you instant ecstasy. Of course, for some reason, after you got your ecstasy, you had to sleep for an hour. Because if you
And then order a pizza and some beer.
Yeah, exactly, like Netflix and chill.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason for that, by the way, that if you didn't have that hour sleep, you would go bananas. You would go crazy. And the reason that was an important plot point was because they had this giant Joy Machine brain trained on the Enterprise, and while all
The Enterprise.
The Enterprise, yeah. So while all the nefarious things were going on the planet, they kept telling, Kirk, well, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to shoot this beam up to the Enterprise, but they're not going to have the hour sleep, and so your entire crew is just going to go bananas.
I don't think
kill
that's
each other.
such a bad idea at all.
Yeah, exactly. So it really was the game, and the resolution, and just cutting to the chase, was that Spock figured out this way to adapt the Joy Machine to alter the frequency of the brains of the planet. And so essentially, Kirk realized that, these people are addicted to this. There's nothing we can do about it, but we can change this machine so that when the kids, that are growing up have their turn, I guess, at the joy machine, then ultimately they would get no joy. They would just go to sleep.
Captain Buzzkill.
Yeah, exactly. And they would just wake up and go, Mom and Dad, I don't get it. I mean, this is we're just going to sleep.
Ben, I want to ask you, I thought of a lot of the unproduced premises. The Joy Machine had a lot of potential. It was more cerebral. The way they got people to do manual labor in the society was to give them time on the Joy Machine, which got them, motivated to keep, like a drug. And it was an interesting allegory, and the best Star Trek, it was flawed, it needed a rewrite, but what was your feeling about Joy Machine?
Yeah, well, it's an idea that keeps coming back, isn't it? Whether it's, I think, the Dream Pool, the Tracy Torme pitch in the first season, or Workforce on Voyager, the idea that you can get people to work and forget who they really are. So I think that part of it is clearly strong enough. It's just the execution of the individual story. I think that's often the difference, is there's a premise, and the premise was interesting enough to make a sale, but then the typical problems are, it doesn't make any sense when they write the script. Kirk doesn't have anything to do. We've done it before. All of those kind of things stack up against it.
Absolutely, and it was done on the Next Generation, so that core idea was good, and they used it.
Let's see what the network says. Kevin Levy. Oh, man. Wow, what is this? Like you're like Joaquin Phoenix over there.
It's very safe to just turn everything down on the grounds that they turned it all down.
Well, it is the network. Oh, it's execution dependent. We're getting notes from the audience
It's an
now.
execution piece.
This would be so much better if you did it better.
We'll look at it. That's
Yeah.
I also wonder if there are any Venture Brothers fans here. There's an episode of Venture Brothers where Doc Venture invents the Joy Can. And those guys are such Star Trek fans, I can't help but wonder if they'd read that script somewhere along the way and adapted to this uniquely bizarre Venture Brothers style.
You never know. Darren, one of the things, obviously, you saw a lot of sequels to Star Trek episodes in the animated series. More Trouble, More Tribbles, Mud's Passion, even a sequel to Shore Leave, Once Upon a Planet. But they had been talking about other follow-ups, for the third and potential fourth season. Was there anything in terms of sequels that you resonated with or would have liked to have seen?
Well, I think that More Troubles was actually planned to be a live-action sequel.
Yeah.
But I think they would still be sowing the giant tribble now.
I don't know, because there was that really nice lady who was here at the beginning of the day, and she had a really terrific costume.
Yes,
Is she
but
here?
Her head and arms were sticking
Somewhere.
out.
But
Oh,
she
so
was
anything like
hardly any
Buckaroo
trouble
Banzai.
at all.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got nothing. I'm just.
I want to ask David, there was another Harry Mudd episode that was
Right.
going to follow up I, Mudd, which is very different than Mudd's Passion that Stephen Cadell was developing. Can you tell us anything about that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Ben, do you recall anything about that?
Well, if David hasn't found it in the files, I'm suspicious that it doesn't exist. I mean, there's a lot of talk about more Mudd. There's even that talk about like a whole spin-off series with Harry Mudd, which I don't believe.
How did they not rewrite He Walks Among Us into a Harry Mudd story?
Exactly.
Harry walks among us.
Harry Walks
That's
Among Us.
apocryphal. I think this whole story that Roger C. Carmel tells, where Gene says, "Oh, we're going to spin you off into your own series," that was a thing that Roger C. Carmel used to tell at conventions. I'm not sure that that's true.
The story I heard, it was
Gene
called,
said that to
it's
all the
called
girls.
Deep Mud.
Microphone.
Tell us in the mic.
Yeah, it was what I read. The story was called Deep Mud, and it was Harry Mudd. I believe he was like selling weapons.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was like selling weapons to like a primitive culture.
He found weapons on the planet where he was.
Mike,
Yeah.
you've done this before, haven't you?
We have. He found these weapons on the planet where he was left behind with the androids.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was very much a sequel in that sense.
Direct pickup from I, Mudd. And the piece I read indicated that it didn't go because Roger C. Carmel was booked on something else. Maybe doing those Noggles fast food commercials.
Yes, Senior Noggles.
Senor Noggles.
Nothing.
It could have been Cyrano Jones. Really, really interesting. Darren, other episodes that you think you would like to have seen produced that weren't?
Well, I mean, obviously, I would have loved to have seen Assignment Earth spun off. because I think that's a wonderful setup. And I know a lot of people don't like it because there's not enough Kirk and Spock in it. But I love the character of Gary Seven and Roberta Lincoln. And I would have loved to have seen that series. And that's a shame. See? Yeah.
People have been saying that for decades now.
Yeah.
They would love to have seen. It's such a fertile it's sort of the best of Desilu. It's Star Trek meets Mission Impossible.
Exactly.
So it was a great hybrid of those two shows, and the potential of that show would have been great. And could you imagine, a 4 or 5 year show with Robert Lansing and Terry Garr? That would have been
God.
amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you produced it now, you should set it in the 60s. Because that's the time frame that the Enterprise went back to. So I don't think there would be any conflict with any of the existing shows.
And it could be on this Earth. It doesn't have
That's
to
right.
be on Earth
That's right.
63.
So no, I was going to say it's interesting. So I've not seen any scripts or any information about Deep Mud. So I'm not real sure where that comes from. But it is interesting though that Roddenberry really respected Stephen Kandel. And so if you go way back, you'll find an outline that Stephen Kandel was working on with Roddenberry. It goes all the way back to 65, called Warrior's World, that basically is bread and circuses of sorts, but it's with a matriarchal society. It's on a planet, it gets really involved, that it looks a little bit like perhaps that was a pitch that might have been used for the second pilot, and at some point they dropped it, and then Stephen Kandel moved over into Mud's Women.
Is it like Project Genesis?
Very much so. It's the pet shop.
Angel One.
Yeah.
Deep Mud. Kevin, what are we? 2 thumbs up. Whoa!
And this is because it has Roger C. Carmel in it.
Now it's a game
That's
show.
it.
Colonel Gum.
Welcome to We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you know anything more about Devil's Due, which I think was originally an original series script or idea
I think
that
it was
later
phase
on
two.
got made.
Phase two.
That was
Was
a
it
phase
phase two?
Phase 2 script.
yes.
It was, but Roddenberry does have a credit on that, right? So I thought it went back all the way to the original.
Well,
series.
he was heavily involved in Phase 2, so he wrote,
okay.
he was responsible for everything. John Povell will tell everyone about this.
On Saturday.
Exactly.
And then one other
that-
thought is Mark mentioned one written by Shatner. Do you know anything about that?
He would have directed, not written it.
Well, there's also a story on the web about he wrote one about a spider web idea.
pitched
Does that ring
one.
a bell?
The Web of Death.
That's it.
The
That's it.
Web of Death,
Now that
yes.
was Shatner writing, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
Now, to be perfectly fair to him, he wrote that about the same time that they were producing The Man Trap. So, people really didn't understand the series really well, and they were learning as they were going. So the Enterprise was out looking for its sister ship, the USS Momentous. And they found it in space, and it was wrapped in a giant spider web. And as they got closer, they noticed a big string, was holding up the spider web and the ship. And they got closer and closer, and then suddenly there was a giant spider there.
Bigger than the Enterprise spider.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they beamed over to the Momentous, and the crew was basically gone. It had been, as you learn later, was eaten by the spider. And it was really interesting because everything was bolted down on the ship. And when you read this, you go, I don't get it. But then later, the spider goes after the Enterprise and wraps it up in a web.
And writes some pig overneath. Sorry. Okay.
And what you, so basically they go, we're stuck here. What do we do? And then they hit on the idea of basically creating a poison. And so they take this poison over to the Momentous, and there's nobody there, and they unbolt everything. And that's important because then they, on the Enterprise, everybody freezes. So when the spider comes down to the Enterprise, nobody's moving, and so the spider goes, well, I guess everybody's dead. And then it goes over to the Momentous, and because everything is unbolted, the spider thinks there's something alive there. So it pierces into the ship, gets the poison, and then the spider's killed.
It's interesting that Shatner was involved in thinking about writing stories, but the show was barely even in production yet, right?
No,
exactly.
clearly he was reading Itsy Bitsy Spider to his young daughters at the time, one too many times, and had spiders on the brain, because that is I mean, he needed the Reeve
That is
Stevens
one
to work that
spider
one
brain
Go
out.
to the
idea.
network and get the network feedback on that.
Oh, yeah, Kevin, well, what do we think about the spider one?
Yeah, okay. You know
No,
what?
poor Bill.
I think the next time we do this panel, we need to get him a gong.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
But it's a
exactly.
space spider. Come on.
You know what? You're going to have to be the one to tell Shatner we're passing.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, but to be fair though, as you said, basically they were still sort of feeling their way through the series, and so he was doing the best he thought. Well, this is science fiction. Let's just go ahead and do this. And there were a lot of writers, famous science fiction writers, about the same time having issues with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to ask you about that because John D.F. Black, was very critical of all the rewriting that was being done on his sci-fi friends. But it was very early in the show, and Gene had a vision for what he wanted it to be. And as a showrunner, particularly in a first season, you need to rewrite. It needs to be your vision. And I think John D.F. Black was wrong, to be honest. So I wanted to say this one thing, though, because there were a lot of famous sci-fi authors who weren't produced, included Richard Bach, who was a huge best-selling author at the time, who pitched a number of things that went into development that never got made. And then on phase 2, he had a script.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, Philip Jose Farmer pitched 2 or 3 different things. Robert Sheckley, A.E. Van Vogt, and these were all people that were established science fiction authors.
Well, didn't Philip Jose Farmer write the first script idea that became Space Seed?
He claims it was.
I've not.
I've seen documentation of this.
Okay.
And it's fascinating because it was more of a story of unfrozen
Vikings.
Civil War. No, this is Civil War. Civil War.
But this is the other reason things get turned down, because you're already doing something very
That's
similar.
correct.
And the idea of some frozen people is not that uncommon in
Right.
science fiction.
Kevin, frozen people in science fiction.
He loves it.
Mark Rogers.
Because frozen people don't move and don't need to be paid daily.
That's right.
That's
And you
what
just
we
sort
have,
of
Mike.
You
lay
want?
them in
I
lukewarm
have
water for
a
about
funny
3 hours.
tidbit.
Oh, yeah,
from
Ben,
this.
please.
John Black. Well, apart from the fact John Black used to write a column for me, and you moved a comma, John Black complained. So John did not like being rewritten in the least. But he also told me that when they were doing The Man Trap, George Clinton Johnson wanted to make Scotty and Kirk best friends because they hadn't even established the Spock-Kirk relationship. And he figured that the chief engineer was like the person who could stand up to the captain, who could say, you can't do that, the engines won't take it, and I'm not doing it.
Oh, Bill would have loved that. Oh, Jimmy
would have loved that.
No way.
No, that's really interesting. I hadn't heard that before, Ben. This is what's so great. The show is going on 60, and what I call Trek archaeology, we still keep digging deeper and finding out new things. And that's the fun of, that's the richness of the tapestry of the original series. There's still so much to learn, even now. And, there's such a treasure trove of memos that exist from that era. But, there are thousands of them, and it's impossible to really
Hundreds of
go
thousands.
through everything. And that's fascinating. What are some other scripts that were developed that didn't get made, David, that are interesting to you?
I've read, 30 or 40 different scripts, so we've got like 4 hours more.
We don't.
Well,
Okay.
then I have a question for you. The one I heard about most, even like when I was a kid in reading fanzines, was a story about Dr. McCoy's daughter. Joanna.
Well, so that got made.
Yeah.
It just got changed
Joanna
a
got made,
lot.
How so?
Joanna became the way to eat. Ben, you want to talk about
Yeah.
that?
So Dorothy had written in, I think it's this, David, you're going to have to back me up on this, but so Dorothy had written the kind of backstory for Dr. McCoy in the season 3 Bible. Well, so at the end of season 2, she added this extra stuff about he was divorced and he had a daughter and all of this. And in the way to Eden, originally what happens is that it's Joanna, McCoy's daughter, who comes on board with the hippies, and Kirk's hitting on her. And it causes all sorts of problems. And the network, well, Fred Freiberger, I think at the time, said that Kirk and McCoy were the same age, so McCoy couldn't possibly have a daughter who was old enough for Kirk to hit on.
I don't know about that.
6, 7, I mean, So then it changed.
Yeah, and it's a shame because instead of being, meeting McCoy's daughter, which would have been really interesting, it becomes about Chekhov's lost love, which is not so interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Not interesting at all.
For the comics, they ended up doing a comic where Joanna meets and falls in love with Zon.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Who is it for?
I think this is the Marvel run after TMP.
There is a Marvel. There's a gold key with Joanna too. She's an animal expert.
Yeah, there's a big monster, a big kind of like between a gorilla and a wolf.
A big furry monster with a horn on his head. Yeah. It's a famous gold key cover.
Mugatu?
Yeah, no, it's not a Mugatu.
Oh, okay.
It's something weird. Yeah, very Mugatu-esque.
It's a Gumato.
Like.
Yes.
We had talked about doing a staged reading of the Gold Key comics with illustrations playing in the background.
Oh, man.
And I don't know, we couldn't decide if we wanted to do it.
Yes, we could.
You know, my favorite thing about the Gold Key comics is Janice Rand's hair that they thought was a hat.
Oh, yeah.
There was it was a knitted red hat, so that's how they colored it.
They thought it was a beehive. She had bees coming out of it and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. What are some other episodes that we haven't talked about that might be of interest that were developed back in the day for Star Trek?
Oh, let's see here. Let me start off with a bad one, I guess, cutting to the chase.
Well, Kevin will be the judge of that.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. So this one was actually proposed by Mark Daniels. So Mark Daniels,
Director.
Directors.
Yeah, director. He directed like 14 episodes of the second season. So he'd been around the block, and he proposed this roughly at the beginning of the third season. It's called The Beast, where Kirk and a red shirt, they beam down to a planet, and Kirk gets attacked by a beast. And he's fighting, and the red shirt doesn't know what to do. And so he's watching this, go on. So he calls the Enterprise and says, Mr. Spock, what do I do here? And Spock says, well, and then the teaser's over. And then we come back to Act 1, and we pick it up, and Spock is going, well, I don't know, maybe you ought to just shoot this thing. And he says, well, I can't, because it's too close to Kirk. And so this goes on for a while, and I'm going, wow. And so ultimately, the red shirt just decides to go ahead and stun the beast. But the beast, Kirk is too close, so they both get stunned. So they get beamed up to the Enterprise. They're both knocked out. And but it turns out when the beast got stunned, he had his hand claw on Kirk's wrist, and it stuck there. And so
it's like that movie Together that just came out.
It is, yeah, it really is. But not well. But it's kind of an alien thing.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway,
Not as horrifying.
Yeah, and this is a family show. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so they said, well, cut the arm off. And we can't do that because for humanitarian reasons. So they say...
Whose arm? They're going to cut Kirk's arm off or the beast's arm?
Beast's arm.
The beast's arm. So
Yeah,
Kirk's just going to walk around with this beast arm hanging off his wrist for the rest of his life?
For 2 acts.
Okay.
Cool. For 2 acts.
Cool.
Yes, he walks around with this beast. There's a security guard trailing them just in case the beast goes bananas.
Hang on. He's dragging the whole beast? Or have they cut the arm off?
No, the whole beast.
It's the whole beast.
The beast.
Okay.
This is not a bad idea. This is the best idea I've ever heard.
Wait, hold on.
It sounded...
Kevin.
Oh, this is an episode of The Orville.
Yeah! The network loves it. We're doing it. Stop asking questions.
This sounds.
Yeah.
This
the
sounds
We haven't
more
got
like
to the themes yet.
This sounds more like Mark Daniels' revenge against Bill Shatner. What this sounds like.
Exactly, yeah.
We're going to tie an extra to you.
How does it end?
Well, so in the meantime, when the red shirt and Kirk went down to the planet, in addition to the beast, they also saw these jewels all over the place. And it turns out these jewels are used as currency on a lot of planets. And so the red shirt says, okay, when I get back to the Enterprise, I'm going to go ahead and basically steal some dilithium crystals, put them into a shuttlecraft, then go back down to the planet and take all these jewels so that I can go ahead and go to these planets and make a lot of money.
What would Gene have to say about that, Darren?
I think that sounds like a reasonable episode to me. Really.
Why did he need the dilithium?
Because he wants to soup up the shuttlecraft so that he knows he's going to have to escape the Enterprise. And for reasons that aren't really clear, the Enterprise's dilithium crystals get all messed up somehow, and so they're kind of dead in space. And so fortunately...
That's never happened before.
So fortunately, this kind of gets resolved when Kirk is walking down the corridor with the beast still clamped to his hand. And they happen to go by a crew member.
Hang on, is the beast woken up at some point?
Beware
or is
the
he
beast,
still
man.
stunned?
No, the beast is awake.
The beast is awake. Okay, so
It's awake.
They're very much in love.
They're not just.
So it's like the defiant ones. He's not really dragging him. He's just like sitting there. And Kirk's like trying to get his coffee. And the beast's like, oh, I've not had.
Yeah, exactly.
He's adjusted to it very well, the Beast has.
Yeah. Well, you know, and
Does the beast have pants?
And so ultimately, sort of the resolution begins to happen when, you know, Kirk and the Beast happen to walk by a crew member who is an Esper.
Esper. No good idea goes on you.
Yeah.
We got
Really?
some-
Spock hasn't noticed anything, of course.
Yeah, of course not. And, you know, the Esper starts to talk to the Beast, and then the Beast at that point releases Kirk.
Certainly couldn't have been Spock.
I didn't write it. And then clamps onto the Esper.
Oh!
Yeah.
It's very clingy beast, honestly.
And it's not a Klingon.
No?
Right. No, it's not. So we learned from the Esper that the whole reason the Beast was on the planet was to guard these jewels so people wouldn't take them.
Not
Okay.
to be confused
And
with the
then-
jewels of sound.
Strategy needs a little work, honestly.
Yeah, and so ultimately, we also learned that these jewels have the property of like recharging dilithium crystals, and so it fixes the problem.
Ooh,
of the
that's
Enterprise.
That's useful.
Yeah. And then, yeah, exactly.
And this inspired the episode Skin of Evil. No,
You know what the moral of that story is? Never let a director write.
this much is certain.
Isn't it really stunning? This came again at the beginning of the third season after he had directed 14 episodes in the middle season, the second season. So it's like, wow.
It sounds like
Kevin, now that you've
vehicle
heard the
from Golden
ending,
Bow.
now you heard the ending.
He likes the premise. We got to do a little rewrite, though.
Yeah, do a
I
little
think
bit,
in this case we need to have a script that deals with our actual characters that we're paying weekly rather than a new Esper brought in. I don't think that's a good practice at all.
But it's a love
Pitch the
story,
Beast
and it's
to
a big
IDW.
sad goodbye between Kirk and the Beast. You know?
Well, he was concerned about how it would affect his love life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know, the
the
problems
Beast.
that two
It's like
people in this
Kirk's like, I'm
strange
gonna have a
new
shower
world
now.
don't amount to
Wow,
hill of
Mark
beans.
Daniels.
Was there a scene where Kirk was in the captain's chair and the Beast was like kind of sitting next to him?
Now, look, I know there are no
Standing.
bathrooms on the
The Beast is
Enterprise, but
just
does that
standing
get
there.
awkward? You know, it's like, hey, I gotta. I'm sorry.
Maybe that's why the red shirt was, you know, trailing.
Right.
You know?
Stun him. I gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if Joseph Pevney and Ralph Sinesky had episodes in their back pocket. The only one who could write of any of those directors was obviously John Meredith Lucas, who was the producer who replaced Gene Kuhn. He wrote some good episodes.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
he did.
And
Yeah, the Changeling, Alana Troyes. Yeah.
But then there were others
The Ultimate
that John
Computer.
wrote, that didn't get made. So
Yeah,
John's one of the people who wrote ones
Yeah,
that didn't
John,
get
yeah,
made.
John also wrote The Godhead. And that went through a couple different versions. And yeah, so The Godhead was about, to me, it was a bit too on the nose. Basically, the Enterprise gets attracted to this galaxy where all the suns are exploding. And so they go there and they find out that there's a guy there, and his name is Adam. And he basically looks like a giant Telosian. Right? He's got this giant head. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to absorb basically the entire universe. But he can't quite figure out how to absorb suns yet, which is why they're kind of exploding and going supernova. And he is attended by a woman with the name of Eve.
Huh.
Yeah.
What a
Adam
coincidence.
And Eve, yeah.
Was he Adame?
Adam.
Yeah, so it's a little bit on the nose here.
Yeah. There's an umlaut.
Now, for all of you who are disappointed these episodes never got made for Star Trek,
Now
rest
you're not.
assured they were made for Space 1999.
Lost in space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But, by the way, I hope you're all going to be here on Sunday for our Space 1999 50th anniversary. Barbara Bain is going to be here. Cinnamon Carter herself doing her, I don't know when she's last done a convention. We're so excited. Nick Tate's going to be here. He's fantastic. It's going to be awesome. Space 1999. It's pretty cool. Okay. We only have a few minutes, so maybe we want to see if anyone has any questions. By the way, Kevin, what do you think of that? Is that the one?
He's still thinking about the Beast.
Oh,
Well, like a Grogu.
that's
a
true
little,
for every script, though, isn't it?
If we can make the Beast a little cuter, that we can merchandise him or use him in a Burger King
Then Shatner
promotion.
has to walk around like this.
Kevin, isn't the
He
opening
used to
line, there's a lot
crouch
of
the whole
good stuff
time.
in here, but there's some things I think that we can massage and work on? Okay.
The plush Beast. Oh my God! You know, I can just see it now. Next year at the Star Trek Las Vegas. Who are you? I'm dressed as the Beast. It's just going to be hanging off their arm. Okay.
Merchandising. I mean, come on.
Go ahead.
So I'm a big Larry Niven fan, and I know that they made his story, The Soft Weapon, in the animated series into an episode. And you mentioned something that sounds suspiciously like Wirehead, Trickle charging directly to the Pleasure Center that was in his story. So was he around in any of this? Did he ever submit anything? Was he in the science fiction crowd that was around this show?
So he's asking about Larry Niven and his involvement in Star Trek, and obviously, his participation in the animated series. But did he do anything for the original series, Larry Niven?
I've not seen any evidence that he submitted anything to the original series.
Because he did the slaver weapon for the animated series, and of course the Kazin.
Kazin all over it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Years ago, I read a book about the making of Star Trek, and I remember reading a section that there was a proposed plot where McCoy and Uhura would go to a planet that was similar to Earth, but things were different, and the white people were slaves, and then the African American people were the ruling class, so to speak. And so Uhura had to take care of McCoy, make sure he was okay. Do you have any more information about that? I don't think I imagined it, but I'd love to hear more information.
You know why we can't talk about it? Because it was not in any of our books. It wasn't in your book. It wasn't in one of your books, and it wasn't a 50-year mission. Now, we'll answer that. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, no, I think David's the one. It's called Black and White. Is that right?
Portrait in black and white.
Right.
Yeah. By Barry Trivers, who gave us Conscience of the King. And that's exactly more or less what it's about. The Enterprise goes to a planet, and Kirk and company get captured by, African Americans. It's a Civil War sort of flip, and it is so on the nose that it even ends with an African American Abraham Lincoln showing up at the end. And there was a lot of consternation behind the scenes, and Bob Justman sent a memo to Roddenberry and said, "Oh my God, we have to entertain people here." Yeah. And he didn't find a whole lot redeeming in it.
No, that was almost as on the head as Gene Roddenberry's script for his first attempt at a Star Trek movie, The Cattleman, which was where the Enterprise encountered a race of sentient cows that were being hunted by ranchers, and they had to decide whether or not to help the cows with the sentience. So
the major moral question is, were the cows sentient but also delicious?
Yeah, that's right. Portrait in black and white. So yeah,
this burger is delicious and smart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the
Brain
things
food.
about Portrait in Black and White, I think there are a load of other scripts that got rejected for the same reason. Is Gene's original idea for Star Trek was that so they could use all the backlots and everything that already existed, they'd keep going to these kind of parallel planets. It was more like sliders.
Hodgkin's
You'd
law.
go to a kind of a world that was just like Earth, only the black people were in charge, or the women were in charge, or...
No, that's exactly right. In fact, I don't want to slam Barry Trivers too much because that actually came out of Roddenberry, one of his original springboards in his Star Trek Is book.
Next year, we're doing a panel on Hodgkin's law of parallel planetary evolution. Yep.
Okay. I'll start by saying when I hear about sentient cows, I believe there are mentions of that in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
or the Fantastic Four. They turned the Skrulls into cows. They are presumably still sentient, just cows.
Yeah, but Douglas Adams didn't come along until a couple years after Gene Roddenberry did the treatment for the cow.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Guys, this really
I don't
makes
think
me
he
need a
read
steak. I'm sorry.
That's actually not what I did. I couldn't resist it when I heard the last thing here. This is based on the premise that there are at least 3 books that deal with Khan and how Khan was dealt with on Earth was being done by Gary Severin,
Right.
with the help of the Terry Garr character. And I was just wondering are you aware of that? And are you aware of any of the other ideas that may have turned into books?
Oh, Darren, why don't you talk about that? Because you're a big fan
Yeah,
of Greg
those are
Cox's books.
the Khan trilogy by, someone help me, Cox?
Greg Cox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great. The first two books are great. The third one is okay. But it's really fun because he throws in every secondary character in every episode.
Including Bhopal.
It include the accident at Bhopal, India, and Flint, the non-dying being, is
Flint's
in there
there?
too, and it's really fascinating.
It's been a while
and they also
since-
fold in the Ferengis bringing in their spaceship, crashing their spaceship from Deep Space Nine. So it's
From Little Green Men.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Boy, that hits for the cycle. Okay, thank you very much. And next question.
Yes, I'm very fascinated by this episode that you mentioned, The Joy Machine, and I hadn't heard about this, so I was doing a little research on it while you were talking about it. So apparently the outline was written by the well-known science fiction writer Theodore Sturgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have heard about things like this, but this type of technology is a real thing. And I actually did this at UCLA in the 1970s. So in the rat lab, and I was designing neuroscience experiments there to do exactly this. And it was known in the 1960s. In 1963, there was a neuroscientist named Jose Delgado, and he would implant this device in the brains of bulls, and then in a Spanish bull ring, they showed us films in neuroscience class, and the bull would charge him, and he had a little remote control device, and he would press the button, and the bull would just turn away, because they were stimulating a motor control region in the brain called the caudate nucleus. What we were doing was stimulating the pleasure center, which is exactly what this episode is describing. And it was known, and it was explained to us at the time, that if you gave the rat a little lever to press, it would just keep pressing this all day, all night.
Today we call that Pornhub.
Yeah, it wouldn't eat or anything. All it wanted was this stimulation. So, of course, yeah, the premise is you can overdo it and it can become a destructive thing. So I think maybe Theodore Sturgeon knew about this, and I think it's a brilliant idea for an episode.
I wonder if it was more that he was influenced by LSD at the time, because in that era, there was a lot of experimentation. It wasn't called PTSD, but treating people who'd been in Vietnam, but also experimenting with LSD and hallucinogenics. That, to me, may be more of an influence on that episode
the MK Ultra stuff.
than actually the technology that you worked on a few years later. But that's really interesting.
Yeah, and you can do it with drugs, you can do it with electrical stimulation, you can do it with magnetic fields. So there's different ways to stimulate these brain regions. But I think it's a fascinating idea for an episode. I'm sorry they didn't make it. But
There's actually a novelization of that episode also.
Yes.
So that's something, if you're interested in it, that's worth checking out.
Yeah, there was a novel written based on that original outline.
Was there concern it was a bit too like This Side of Paradise? Where, okay, they're farming, not doing hard labor, but...
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's interesting. I think Sturgeon tried to sci-fi that basic idea by, rather than having electrodes, he went ahead and had like light waves and some real weird frequency things. And the production office had a problem with a lot of the logic of that. So at some point they gave the basic concept to Meyer Dolinsky to rewrite. And he gave us, oh, my brain just glitched.
Meyer Dolinsky.
Yeah.
Ben?
My mind's gone as well.
Plato's Stepchildren.
Oh, right,
Yeah, I had to get there. I had to get into gear. And when he rewrote it, he changed the whole thing over to electrodes. And somehow like a Spock's brain type of helmet thing and on the arms. And so I think he tried to ground that, no pun intended, a little bit better. So, but then, unfortunately, when he rewrote it, he shifted it from a planet to a penal colony, and then the whole episode became too much like Dagger of the Mind.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I got one more question, which of course is for Kevin Levy. Kevin Levy, how was this panel? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Oh, fantastic. That's great.
We're going to series.
Is it well told? It's well told.
I
Okay,
want
good.
to I want to thank so much David Tolada. He'll be signing his book or anything else you want him to sign within reason at the Treksperts Plus booth tomorrow at 10 a.m., I believe?
Yes.
10 a.m. Ben Robinson, you can find him and track him down and hunt him down.
I'm easily tracked down because I'm sitting at a table.
Master Replicas, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And of course, Darren, Ashley, and myself will be hosting many more panels over the course of the next few days, and the Tiptons will be signing together, not separately, but together at the Treksperts booth as well at 10 o'clock.
10.
So we're so delighted you stuck it out and stayed for this panel. I thought it was really fascinating, and thank you, Kevin, for weighing in with your opinion. And we hope to see you all tomorrow back here on the Treksperts stage. And if you can't get enough of the Inglorious Treksperts, you can always listen to our podcast at Inglorious Treksperts, wherever you listen to podcasts, and now on YouTube. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Thank you all.
We're back. We're back, baby. We're back. Baby got back.
Those were Treks not taken indeed.
I've always been fascinated, particularly by the one that Shatner was going to direct, The Joy Machine.
Yeah.
And I feel there's something in that concept that, if executed properly, could have been really good.
I've always felt like it was it missed its calling in the sense that the best expression of that particular dystopian sci-fi warning was social media. Just hooking yourself up to a machine that just feeds you dopamine and makes you stupid and crazy.
And could you imagine had Shatner directed back in 68? Well, it would have been early 69.
Well, yeah, because he would have directed more. And
no, he wouldn't have.
much
This would have
more
been like the
prepared.
last episode.
No. But I mean, he would have directed other shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
like
and
he
he
could
would
have
have
very
showed up on-
well avoided that whole, dark days of the soul in the early 70s when he was living out of the back of his truck doing bus and truck stuff and doing like these awful, exploitation movies.
They weren't awful.
Some of them were.
They were just jobs.
Some of them were.
They were awful jobs.
But it would have been so interesting if he was a director and was directing episodic television.
Yeah.
And then he could say, the way you're doing it, it sickens me. Let me show you how. But it was so interesting. But man, I'm still having nightmares about that one episode.
Nightmares? I want to see it. I want to make it. The Beast? Come on, man.
The Beast.
Dude,
I just want to see him walking
coolest
around
thing.
the ship with this thing attached to his arm.
Passed out like it's his best friend who's been roofied and just like, what? How does it? What? And I just want to see the scene where they're like, well, we could just amputate the arm and leave you with this beast arm just hanging. What? What? This is why you don't let directors write.
Well, I was just going to say, when we're doing this whole what if thing, the best thing about Desilu being sold to Paramount was that Lucy wasn't still around, where she could say, because, Mark Daniels directed so many of the I Love Lucy's, where she would have said to Freddie, I'd really like you to make this episode of Mark. I owe Mark. He's a good guy, and you should do this episode that he wrote. Yes. And they would have done it because Lucy would have wanted them to do
Lucy, no.
Lucy, you have some splaining to do. There should not be a beast hanging on a Captain Kirk, Lucy.
And it would have got made. And it would have, well, at least poor Spock's brain would have actually been more beloved, because the Beast would have been the new worst episode of Star Trek ever.
Well, it would have been rewritten to happen to Spock.
No, not by Fred Freiberger. He was a Kirk guy. Remember, they weren't writing for Spock in the third season. He said this is Kirk is the star of the show, and that Spock is a supporting character. That was Freiberger's perspective.
Are you kidding? Spock's brain was written for Spock, and it was one of his best roles.
Yeah, but Freddie was very clear that it was all about Shatner. That which is why Shatner is the only one of the cast that actually likes Freddie Freiberger. So very interesting, but so many episodes that coulda, woulda, maybe could have existed in another
I
timeline.
would have loved to have seen He Walks Among Us.
With Milton Berle.
with Milton Berle.
Milton Berle.
The tripod.
Uncle Milty.
Amazing. Amazing.
Could you
Just
imagine?
the idea of that happening? Louis the Lilac crossed with Harry Mudd.
Yeah.
Great.
And I have to say a big thank you to Kevin Levy, who I don't think was expecting to become the star of that panel, but it just
From
so
the
happened
audience.
he was working with us this year, helping us out backstage. So it was the last panel. We didn't need him. He goes out in the audience. He said, "I'd really like to see this one. This sounds interesting." So he's sitting in the audience, and I'm like, in the midst of it, I'm like thinking, this wasn't planned. We got a TV executive out in the audience. Why not bring him into this? And he was such a good sport. You can't see if you're listening to the audio version. He's doing a thumbs up, thumbs down, kind of like the Roman Coliseum, which was
Well,
really
you can't see it in the
funny.
video version either.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
have no-
You can't ever see it. You're
We
just
didn't
gonna
have
have to stand in the
reverses. We
mud.
didn't cover the reverses
No.
on the cameras. But that was great. And then of course we used Kevin throughout the weekend as a result of that. Who's really game, and I think he had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with him because he was there during the whole UPN era, the end of Enterprise and the end of Voyager and all of Enterprise. He was there for, so so that was good. But I really,
year.
and I really enjoyed meeting Dave Tallada.
Yeah.
I think his book is great, and he's a really interesting guy with a lot of good stories, and plus he comes with a lot of research, which I like because we don't really like to do the research. So if we can have people who do the research come and then we can make our little jokes, it's perfect.
Well,
That's right.
I mean, to be fair, we've been doing the research for 50 years.
Yeah, I know. I'm being somewhat facetious in this case. But and it's always a pleasure to have the Tiptons there with their insights, having worked with Harlan and Ben Robinson, always a treat. Really a big fan of Ben's, and he's done some great work. And also, he is there are a lot of people that call themselves Treksperts, but there are very few actual Treksperts.
Right.
I get annoyed when people call themselves Treksperts. And Ben Robinson is somebody worthy of the Treksperts name.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's been doing this for a long time. He's interviewed a lot of people. He knows the history, and he's earned it.
You mean you have several people come up to you at the booth and they say, my mom said I could be a Trekspert.
Well, if I was at the booth, maybe I would have had that experience.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, your
The
mom
booth.
said, did she?
I'm afraid of the agonizer. I just don't want to go to the booth. Because it's agonizing for me to be there and have conversations like that.
Any booth is an agonizer for Mark.
That's right. Oh, speaking of booths, how about this for transition? Don't miss us at the following shows coming up this fall. But these booths I will be at because I
These
love
booths are made for walking.
Oh my!
And because
That's just what we'll do.
It's September 12th to the 14th. It's another reason that we won't be at the Space 1999 convention because we're going to be in Des Moines, Iowa, for GalaxyCon Des Moines.
But we will memorialize the loss of the moon.
Yeah,
Just
we'll
like
be getting
we did on
blown
the
out of Earth
actual
orbit.
September 13th, 1999, at my apartment.
Oh God, we'll talk about that next week on our Space 1999 episode. Although I do think we missed an opportunity to do a Space 1999 panel in Des Moines because it's actually going to be September 13th.
Yeah, no kidding.
We won't have any space. I wonder if Dana Gould watches Space 1999.
Not now.
No, but I wonder if he did. I wonder if he's familiar with it. Could we get a couple of people together?
I'm pretty sure he's familiar with it.
We get us and a couple of our boys, and we could talk about the moon.
Yeah.
But no one would show up for that, would they?
Sure they
You
would.
never know, man.
In Des Moines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
It means
Why not?
the moon.
They got nerds
does?
in Des Moines.
Is that what it means?
They've got
Des
a
Moines means
moon
the
there.
moon.
Did you know that? I did not know that.
No, I'm making that up. It
Oh.
may, but I
La Luna.
Yeah.
Okay. St. Louis. This is our first
St.
time
Louis.
going to St. Louis, October
Meet me
10th,
there.
October 12th. We're going to meet us in St. Louis. We might even sing the song for you. Brett got to sing
That's
Meet
a
Me in St.
reference
Louis
to an old movie, folks.
with Judy Garland.
Listen to 4:30 movie. Maybe you'll find out.
Making
But
its
probably
triumphant debut in Milwaukee, November 7th to the
That's right.
9th.
Yeah,
That's going to be a good one.
it is.
Yeah,
Because old Milwaukee tastes as great as its name.
No, we're going to do a Happy
That's
Days Laverne and
correct.
Shirley panel there.
That's right. Shamil Schlemazel
Hassenpfeffer
Incorporated.
I just know the Rock Around the Clock.
We're gonna do it.
So that's Happy Days.
That's
I know.
Happy Days, dude.
I didn't watch Laverne and Shirley. I watched Happy
You did?
Days.
What the hell?
No. Speaking of that, oh my God, there's such a great article on Welcome Back, Kotter in Emmy Magazine, written by Gabe Kaplan.
Wow.
Nice.
Really interesting. If you're a Welcome Back,
I
Kotter
saw
fan.
the illustration
Yeah.
on that. He's
Kotter
not a
spurt.
handsome man.
Well, he never was.
No. But his
but-
wife was hot.
Oh, Marcia
Well,
Strassman.
I
was-
knew his wife. She
Biblically?
She was on Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Damn right she was.
Wayne Zelinsky's wife.
Yeah, loved her.
And she was not a good actress.
Well, that's
No,
too
that's
bad
too
because
bad.
I loved her.
But it's okay. It's okay.
She was great in Kotter.
Yes.
Mr. Kotter.
Mr.
Okay.
Kotter.
And we'll be in Columbus December
That's
5th
the
to the
real
7th.
Epstein list.
Get the Epstein list from Epstein's mother.
That's right.
Release Epstein's mother's list. Columbus, Ohio, December 5th to the 7th. Oh, we'll be there on the anniversary of Star Trek The Motion Picture.
That's correct.
Oh, we got to do the Star Trek The Motion Picture that day.
Yeah, we do.
You know what? I keep telling them, I want to do it. I want to do it.
Okay, well, we'll have that conversation again. See if we can get something to happen.
Let's do
Because
it.
that would be the perfect day for it, wouldn't it?
Of course.
100%.
December 7th.
There would never be a better time.
I mean, either we show Pearl Harbor or we show Star Trek The Motion Picture. Frankly, I think Star Trek The Motion Picture is a better film than Pearl Harbor.
I agree.
So,
Well, it has a better ending.
And I want to remind you that if you want to have your own Pacific Princess adventure with Darren Dochterman,
No, you're
He
not
is
going to
being
have
a-
it with me.
He's gonna dress up
Give
as
me
your
that
pretty little princess.
That little heart at the beginning. You know, Jonathan Frakes, the love,
It's not a heart.
exciting.
It's
and
a porthole.
Oh, it's a porthole. That's right. And then, be like, come aboard, Mike Akuda.
Just so you know,
They're expecting you.
I'm planning on bringing my my phone rig to be able to do smooth selfies and B-roll, and I'm going to put together a little video representation of the cruise, and it's going to be fun. You'll see.
We'll
I'm going
see.
to come back.
And
with
you'll
see.
know.
instruction.
You'll know.
That is I, Captain Darren Dochterman,
Dochterman.
who encompasses our
His
doom.
doom.
So that's February. So there's still tickets available February 20th to 27th. And you can join Darren
there aren't.
Dochterman. Oh,
No,
there
there
aren't.
It's
So
sold
why am I
out.
promoting it?
It's sold out completely.
Okay, there are
Well, you
tickets
can't
available
go.
in
If you're not already.
2027
That's right.
for
You're
the
screwed.
cruise. And so see if Darren has a good time. If he does, you might want to join him
Right.
in 2027.
But
But,
this
you
year
know,
you're
the-
effed in the A.
The interesting thing is that the cruise is going on the Adventure of the Seas, which
Oh, I
is
thought of a
the
lifetime.
same- it's the same class of ship as the Voyager of the Seas. It's a Voyager class vessel.
I call it V'ger. Are you going to go out on the hull and it's going to be all dirty and you're going to
Yeah,
scrape
I'm
it
gonna
off?
scrape
Wait,
it off.
Voyager?
V'ger
Wow.
of the seas.
If I do,
Chicken
then
of the
that's probably
sea.
an arrestable offense.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be so great. They should dirty it up just for this thing. And you should say V'ger of the seas. Oh my God. And they could go. No, that's not really how V'ger sounds.
I'm going
That
to
is-
recording and I'm going to put it.
That's how you win an Academy Award in sound design, ladies and gentlemen. That right there.
Darren's going to be like, oh, that's a Bananas Foster. I will attempt to melt with it.
The Bananas Foster is incapable of this simple feeling.
Bananas Foster Brook.
Bananas Foster the people.
He's going to bring those little things that Aaliyah was wearing and give them out. And everybody can put them on their heads.
And he's going to make everybody like sign an oath of celibacy.
Well,
It's a Star Trek cruise.
I'm just going to say
Yeah,
it's a Star
exactly.
Trek cruise.
It's already happened.
I'll just leave it there.
Okay. Inglorious Treksperts is a production of the Treksperts Podcast Network. Mark A. Altman, Darren Dochterman, Ashley Edward Miller, executive producers. Brian Mix and Peter Holmstrom are producers. Mark Rivera is our audio sound mixer. He is also the cinematographer for the video panels. Thank you, Mark, for doing a great job. They were able to share these video panels with you on video this year. Like how that works. John Carney is our social media manager, and Inglorious Treksperts is copyright 2025 by Treksperts Plus. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts and on video via Spotify and YouTube. You can review Inglorious Treksperts wherever you listen and share your thoughts with us and grow stronger through the sharing on your favorite social media platform. Or you can email us if you're a little shy at trekspertsplus@gmail.com. or on the Treksperts Discord channel. I went on the Discord channel. A lot of good conversations happening there. You
Yeah.
should check it out. We should make more of a point of.
Join the expedition.
I'm going to visit more often because I think a lot of interesting conversations. I've been
Yeah, if it's
missing out.
Indeed, life from lifelessness, then we
I
should
was sick.
visit that place again.
So, I'm like, okay, I should go on the Treksperts Discord. I was looking for shit to do. So, anyway, I'm not used to, sort of being down for the count. Anyway, the Count
Or
Chocula.
down with a sickness.
You going to get Count Chocula for Halloween? You like that Count Chocula?
Probably. I like Frankenberry better.
You like Blueberry, Frankenberry, or Count Chocula, Ashley?
Frankenberry.
I mean, when you before you were
Count
TS,
Chocula. I was the Count Chocula guy.
There's also Fruit Brute.
Oh, yeah, I don't count
Is
that.
the Wolfman.
Yeah.
And I believe there was a mummy one.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it tasted like dust and death and sickness.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you all here. And of course, we'll be back next Thursday. And you may have an idea what we'll be covering then because it is going to be September 11th. So stay tuned for a very special episode next week of the Treksperts. Or is it the Treksperts? Find out. Until then, keep on trekking ingloriously, of course.